evening and welcome to Channel 7 News. I'm Shannon Grimaud, checking in with your daily report. Yesterday, a walk along Santa Fe State Beach in Southern California turned into a traumatizing event, which scarred Lynn Harper both emotionally and physically. As Harper was walking along the beach with her family, she came across unique rocks, which she picked up and put in her pocket. Only short hours later, these rocks broke out into a ferocious fire in her pocket. She could not remove the blazing rocks quick enough, so she soon developed third-degree burns all along her thighs. Now one may ask, how could such a thing happen? Simple. The beach rocks were found, located just a few miles from Camp Pendleton Marine Base, a base that contains a nuclear power plant. So, was this a freak accident of Mother Nature? Or did the radioactive gases from Camp Pendleton play a vital role in this accident? Discussing this topic, we have nuclear energy, the next generation, an anti-nuclear energy society. Back to you in the studio, Brendan.
There's great surfing. More than 3 immaculate miles of beachfront at this park have been protected from commercial development and offer visitors plenty of room to stretch out and relax. The climate in this part of California is moderate. Balmy sea breezes roll in from the coast, cooling the air along the shoreline. Their popularity and the recreational opportunities they afford make Southern California's state beaches one of the #1 destinations for travelers and locals alike.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Today we have joining us nuclear energy, the next generation, defending the productive methods as the anti-energy nuclear society. Questions the productivity of nuclear energy. Dun dun dun! Now can we please have our teams introduce themselves?
The next generation. And I'm Suzanne Farrell.
And I'm Margaret Singer. We are the Anti-Nuclear Energy Society, and I am Phyllis Baker.
And I am Penelope Johnson.
Now that that's all taken care of, let's move on to our first point of the discussion. How does nuclear energy affect the environment?
Nuclear energy provides for clean air benefits. In the 1970s, the Clean Air Act established limits on the emission of nitrogen oxide, which is the precursor of ground-level ozone, in small as well as sulfur dioxide, which produces acid rain, smoke dust, and mercury. They also do not emit carbon dioxide, which is the principal greenhouse gas.
But there is no proper way to safely dispose the waste produced by nuclear large power plants. The waste is often buried hundreds of feet underground in large pools of water. In need of constant surveillance, these wastes create unfavorable conditions for many employees.
The constant surveillance of these nuclear wastes provide more jobs for our striving nation.
But the money paid for the workers could be better spent than for these babysitting jobs.
Moving on to the next topic. What are the other types of energy?
The other types of energy are solar energy, wind energy, hydrogen energy, hydroelectric energy, and geothermal energy.
Okay,
Miss Bachelor.
go.
What are the effects of these other forms of energy?
Comparing nuclear energy to fossil fuels, the overall
You don't think it's very hot.
comparing nuclear energy.
I go?
Yeah.
Ready?
Yeah.
What is the cost of nuclear energy?
Currently, the nuclear energy costs are around $17,000 per nuclear power plant. This price is sufficiently less than the $80,000 that is spent in producing solar energy.
Even though nuclear energy is so much better.
Excuse me. The amount to create nuclear energy does not compare to the high prices of solar energy.
Even though nuclear energy is less than solar energy, other forms of energy come at a much lower cost. For example, coal can be easily collected as it is a resource that is much more than abundant. Elements such as uranium, which is used to create nuclear energy, is a scarce source which makes it harder to come by, as well more expensive. So other methods are more inexpensive compared to nuclear energy.
What are the possible outcomes if a nuclear power plant were to malfunction?
The chances of a plant failure are relatively high compared to other forms of energy. For example, when the 3 Mile Island accident occurred in 1979, all of Pennsylvania was set in a state of panic and fear that the radioactive gases and radioactive iodine that were emitted into the environment.
Excuse me.
Right.
When the 3 Mile Island accident occurred, only a small amount of radioactive gases were emitted. Also, nothing has a 100% success rate, so there are multiple precautions that are taken to quickly put an end to the failures. For instance, nuclear power plants that lack the resources to hire staff provide inadequate training and do not expend the money necessary to monitor industries. Regulatory concerns may go undetected and failure may result, whereas nuclear power plants that do undergo these precautions will be exempt from failures, which arisen from careless means. Furthermore, if up-to-date regulatory systems are in use, then safety measures may be up to the maximum capacity. Outside of technological regulatory precautions, the environment in which a nuclear power plant is put into is taken the foremost consideration. Nuclear power plants are only put into use if a main source of water is placed nearby, such as a lake, a river, or an ocean. The Point Beach Nuclear Plant, Unit 1, located 3 miles NNW of Manteca, Wisconsin, is basically on the beach. So if a meltdown was in danger of happening, a large water source is present to help control the situation. Although the water source may not stop a meltdown if there were to arise, it would prevent dire consequences that would have arisen otherwise.
How does nuclear energy affect foreign affairs?
Being a war-conscious country, the United States is constantly at risk for terrorist attacks. Consequentially, this makes the U.S. vulnerable to foreign nations constantly putting us at a disadvantage because our nuclear power plants are exposed, making them easy targets for terrorist attacks from our enemy nations.
Well, it leaves our country prepared to go into war if necessary, because we always have nuclear power at hand.
Wait.
Well, that's all the time we have. Tune in for our next live broadcast at 9. Coming up next is the new season of Desperate Housewives. It's my favorite show.
Radioactive gases from the nuclear power.
Okay, I can try now. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Wait.
My last name.
Desperate Housewives is my favorite show.